Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey. Welcome to a new video. For those of you who are not aware, a couple days ago there were several monsters that were updated. Here's the complete list of the monsters that were updated in terms of their drops. So what I wanted to do for this video is I wanted to look at the monsters that you can get assigned from higher level Slayer Masters, because a lot of these monsters are really low level and you will never kill them after level 50 Slayer or so. So once you get up to the higher Slayer levels, you'll never have to bother with them again and might only end up doing maybe 1 or 2 tasks of them total, unless you decide to kill them off of Slayer tasks for some reason. So what I decided to do is look at 3 monsters, Aquanites, Waterfiends, and Dust Devils, which can be assigned by Kuradel as well as Duradel and some of those higher level Slayer monsters, and see, are these tasks worth doing? I know in the past Aquanites and Dust Devils have been an instant skip task for many people, and I wanted to see if their drops were much improved. And even though a lot of people already do Waterfiends because they're very good charms in XP, I wanted to look at their drops as well and see how they changed. So the first monster I wanted to check out was the Dust Devils, because I thought, you know, they're a decently high Slayer monster, and they are level 65 Slayer to kill these. Aberrant Spectres are a level 60 Slayer monsters, so I thought maybe the drops would be improved to be a little bit better than Aberrant Spectres, because Aberrant Spectres are a slightly lower Slayer monster, and it seems, for the most part, as you go up in tiers of Slayer monster, the money per hour goes up. Unfortunately, this was not the case with Dust Devils, as you'll soon see, but for some hourly rates, they're not very good. About 180k attack XP per hour, that is not counting HP. That is only your attack, strength, or defense, whatever you choose to use here, and about 82k Slayer XP per hour, and of course this is with Dragors, so if you're using lower tier weapons, it's not going to be quite as much. So I'd really only recommend to do this task if you are kind of a lower level. However, one thing I did notice is they drop a lot of buckets of sand, a lot of soda ash, and a lot of mithril bars. So this might be useful for Iron Man accounts, because some of those materials can be very annoying to gather. If you are looking to make some molten glass materials, then it can be very annoying to have to collect a whole bunch of seaweed and then fry it all on a fire to turn it into soda ash, and the buckets of sand are annoying to collect as well. So it is useful for Iron Men, but that's about all it is really useful for. So I spent 1 hour there, I got 121 crimsons, and found it to only be 195k GP per hour, which is pretty bad. So for the most part, from what I could tell, the money that you got from Dust Devils really did not change. You could make about 200k an hour before the buff. However, the only thing that did change is they just dropped slightly different items now, including the sand making supplies, which may be useful for some people, but for most this is a pretty bad task still. And the next monster that I wanted to try out was the Aquanites, and I had high hopes for this monster because this used to be one of my favorite monsters and one of my favorite tasks way back in the day when amulets arranging were close to 1 million GP each, and they used to be some pretty solid money if you could get an amulet arranging every other task or so, back in the day when Slayer did not used to be as lucrative of profit as it is now. But Slayer has gotten to the point where it's really all about the XP now, and unfortunately, Aquanites do not offer very good Slayer XP. Their combat XP is definitely decent. 255k range an hour is pretty good, even though I was using the main hand Ascension Crossbow and offhand Chaotic, and it'll be a little bit slower if you are using lower tier range weapons, but they do have almost no defense and almost no HP, so even with lower tier range weapons, you can still kill them very fast. It's also a place that you can use the Bone Crusher and Demon Horn Necklace because they drop big bones, so that's really nice as well. But overall, it's a solid task just because the drops here were really good. I was very impressed with the drops, how they were increased with the Aquanites, and really happy about that. Again, a really good task for Iron Man as well, as they drop a ton of noted herbs and a ton of tree seeds as well. I did manage to pick up an amulet arranging during this task as well. Not really a Slayer task, but the hour of killing them, although that's worth hardly anything. And overall, I was really impressed with how much they're worth. Only a mid-tier Slayer task again, but they're so easy to kill, and about 2.4 million GP per hour. That's very good, and I didn't get any sort of crazy lucky rare drop, table drop to boost that profit. Almost all of that profit was just off of their regular drops that you're going to get no matter what your luck is, as well as 1 Serenic Scale, which aren't terribly uncommon there either. So really good task in terms of money. And of course, the final and probably the most famous out of all of the monsters that I tested out the new drops for was the Waterfiends. And again, I had high hopes for these ones as well, the same as the Aquanites, just because Waterfiends are a really good task in terms of the combat XP and the Crimson Charms, and of course because of those 2 reasons that it's sometimes very difficult to find a Waterfiend world. I'd hop a few times just to find a world in order to kill them for an hour, and had to hop a couple times due to getting crashed during that hour killing them, which was a little bit frustrating. And the main thing that I could tell from what the Waterfiends drops were changed is they really just noted a few items that were unnoted before. So now, instead of dropping unnoted sharks and lobsters and mithril bars, they drop noted sharks and lobsters and mithril bars, and they also drop unnoted battle staffs occasionally, and that's really the only change with their drops. So unfortunately, the Waterfiend drops are still pretty bad. They didn't have any good drops added to their drop table, so unfortunately it's not going to be a whole lot of money, and this task is still all about the Crimson Charms and all about the combat XP and the Slayer XP, which is the reason people killed them anyway, so this shouldn't change the task for you at all. But it was a little bit disappointing that they still are pretty bad money, only about 560k GP per hour. Still do the task though, because it's a really good one. Anyway, to sum all of this video up, Dust Devils are still a task that you should be skipping. Aquanites are good if you are a mid-tier player and you'd like the extra profit from Slayer tasks, or even if you're a higher tier player and you just prefer to do tasks that are really good money versus tasks that aren't and you don't mind the lower XP. Waterfiends you should still do all of the time. So overall, things didn't change that much other than Aquanites became a doable task for people who care about profit, but the Waterfiends and the Dust Devils really do remain unchanged, which is a shame. I was kind of hoping that Dust Devils would have good drops since they are a tier 65 Slayer creature, but it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that you learned something about Aquanites in this video, and I'll see you with the next one. Farewell.